Hello, everyone. I'm Astrologer Val Evans. Thanks for joining me today. And looks like we got some folks very interested in romance and relationships today. Hello, everyone. Wow, it took a lot, I will say. A lot of studying of charts. So we got a lot of charts today. We're going to pull some cards too with regard to your questions about your maybe past romances or even a future romance. Does romance always mean marriage? No, of course not. But we're going to look at some marriage charts. Uh, Most notably, we're going to look at the solar return for mostly the ladies in the year they got married. And so we're going to be able to make a prediction or be able to see a profile of the marriage based on the solar return chart. So on this channel, you're going to be able to see lots of solar returns, and I show you how to do that by going to AstroSeek. You just hit the solar return after you pull your birth chart, and it's the solar return only tab. Hopefully, we know how to do it by now, but we have new people coming in. And hello, I'm going to say hi to everyone. Let's see. Deborah, who is your future third ex-husband? I think we should I think we should get to the bottom of that today. I'm going to ask. Toy said, "Boy, Toy, I'm biased." And I like that. I admit it. Can't wait for this one. It's going to be very interesting. I know. We're going to talk about Jen Garner and her solar return for this year. Should she give, I know the answer to this question, should she give it another try with Ben Affleck? It's all over the news, lots of gossip. Then we have Demi Moore. Does she have a little romance brewing with Andrew Garfield, who I think is adorable, and I'm rooting for them. And then lots of talk about a potential marriage for Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez. And they've been together for a while now. It's time to tie the knot, right? At least for one of the two parties. I think Lauren would really like to be a Mrs. So we'll see what Jeff Bezos's solar return looks like. We're going to look at all of their solar returns and actually a few more. And Amber is here. How are you, Amber? Yay. And you have an empty 11th house. That can be good. That can be very good, actually. Does one consciousness, you said, does the chart, I got to fix this. So hold on one second. Here we go. Does the chart show marriage differently to a partner? Yes, I think so. Marriage is usually the ninth house, so you can see a profile of a marriage if you are to get married. So it's pretty fascinating because if you were married and you are no longer married, pull your solar return chart for that year. And sometimes it's going to be the year before because you haven't had your birthday yet in that year, if that makes sense. And Toji's here. Nice to see you. I was going to broadcast last night, but there were so many charts. So I needed a little more time. I was not expecting that. Hello, Star Sleuth. And hello, KK. Did I say hi to KK? Jen's here. And Brenda. Thank you for joining us, Brenda. All right, so let's go to the first one. Actually, I'm going to show you what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the narcissist and the addict. I promise it's not all going to be horrifying. We're going to talk about the philanderer, and we're going to talk about a long-term success or two. So don't worry. We will not give up all hope. Also, we're going to talk about Mary the Mistress, of course. And let's see what else I have. Okay, now it's not working. Hold on. I was like, please, please let it work. All right, let's see what I have here. Try it again. All right, so you can see that. Narcissist, philanderer, long-term success, marry the mistress. And now it's not working. Hold on. Okay, so we're going to start with the narcissist. And this is a notorious marriage. It's very, very difficult for, I'm sure, both parties, if you remember Kim Basinger and Alec Baldwin. And so, what I like to do in a solar return is you usually need to know the time of your birth in order to see it. But if you don't, you can still look at Jupiter and the state of Jupiter. So, Jupiter is going to represent Alec Baldwin, and this is Kim Basinger's solar return, as I said. And so, you can see there, usually Jupiter in Libra shows a pretty good looking guy. And that he probably is willing and wanting to get married. And so you can see that he's right there in the second house. He's wealthy. So she's going to have a wealthy husband that year if she gets married that year, which she did. But the problem was there is a square to Uranus. And that shows it's also a square to Neptune. When you have Jupiter in a square with Neptune or an opposition with Neptune, there's going to be potentially addiction problems, or you could just be married to a guy who likes the mirror, if you know what I mean. A narcissist. Neptune is the mirror, and Uranus is the broken mirror. So lots of ups and downs, if you recall, with their marriage. I'm not sure exactly what the issue was, but it seemed pretty volatile. And usually, a Uranus square, uh, squaring Jupiter can mean a volatile husband, or Jupiter can also represent the marriage. So a volatile marriage. All right, so I got a long-term success here. Here is some information on Viola Davis and her husband. They've been married a long time, and really cute couple. So this is her solar return for the marriage. And let me just check the chat real quick. Yeah, okay. Oh, Toy, you said our 20th anniversary is coming up June 4th. I'm going to go do our anniversary solar return chart after this. Good for you. It takes a lot of work. It really does. And there are a lot of ups and downs that you have to get through during a marriage. It's very, very difficult sometimes, more difficult for others. So with Viola, she has Jupiter really strong in her chart, showing her husband. And there he is. He used to play football. So Leo's sports. And now he's a producer. He became a producer and actor, and they seem to have one of the more successful marriages. So nice to have, and especially 2 degrees. This is like 2 degrees. Taurus could be wealthy. Two is also really, really talented, the best of the best. So she really got a good one here, it seems. And way, way up high in the 10th shows that, the maybe collaboration with a husband is going to help your 10th house, your life purpose, and your career. So they've been together a while. All right. We've got a grand trine in here pointing to Jupiter. So nice when you can have Jupiter. I'm going to put it in blue. And you trine the part of fortune. And of course, Sag means the movies. So very successful partner in the movies. They make a lot of money. And so it's very nice. We also have Aries. Aries is very motivated, adventurous. They get stuff done fast. When they collaborate, boom, 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 it gets done. And that's always nice. It's kind of like a bummer when you have a partner and they just like a relationship and you're more motivated than the other, or vice versa. You're like, why do we have to get up at 6 a.m. all the time? So when you're on the same page, both on the same page, it's very nice. And it's only one thing. The ninth house is the marriage. And so no chart is going to be perfect. But there are some things that are now keeping in mind. When they were getting married, this is her solar return. She, Viola, was Venus. And so you can see that there is a T square here with Black Moon Lilith and also Chiron. So there could be some things that are happening behind the scenes that you can't see, which honestly, if you're going to have a marriage chart, that's what I would prefer. Nobody sees. It's not like Jerry Springer. It's not like a tabloid fodder type of thing. But there are some things behind the scenes that seem like there could be just little scrapes and bruises, but keeping in mind, though, that Venus can also represent, and I don't mean that physically, I mean there are wounds behind the scenes that, could be the way maybe 3rd house is communication, maybe one person communicates in a way that the other one doesn't really care for, but it's like, "Okay, whatever." But, it also let's look at the, 2nd house, which is Pluto. Where's Pluto here? Yeah, so Pluto is in there in the 2nd house. That is a lot of money. Woof. And, yeah, I think with Chiron there, there could be some painful things that are being spoken about, with the 3rd house. I'm not really too familiar with Viola, but, there's some things that she just doesn't want to talk about. There are some secrets, and she's able to keep them. We all have secrets. Does this affect the marriage? Um, Not so much. The ninth house isn't great. I will tell you that. But her husband is so fantastic. You can get through it, and it seems for the most part pretty positive. There's that T square there with the ninth house lord. That's not easy. So here's Rita Wilson, solar return in 1988. Remember them? And so cute. We have Jupiter. Now it's retrograde. I always talk about having Jupiter retrograde. It's not great to have Jupiter retrograde in the year that you get married. However, she's pretty lucky because we have this nice trine to the 6th house, and lots 6th house is your work, your health, and one thing I always like is a trine to Saturn. This means a long term marriage. It's going to be going on and on and on. If you have, see, the issue with Baldwin and Basinger was they have a trine to Saturn, and it was a long term battle. Like they battled for a for years and years and years. But in this case, we have a nice trine to Jupiter and Uranus. Things are exciting. They work together. He helps her with her career. It doesn't look like she can really have too much of a career. She's really there to support him mostly. And I say that because in this time frame, you can see a T square. Now, this might just mean her year, that she had to kind of put her career on hold, but it's sort of an indicator of what would happen in their marriage, and it seems like she's as happy as could be. So, so no real problems there. Uh, let's see. We've got Pluto here. Pluto's the kids and the family, and looks like for the most part there's a dream family, but you can see Neptune in there, which is child would have some addiction problems, but nice again that Jupiter is way at the top, and I think she got herself a good one. All right, so we're going to talk about the philanderer, the 11th house. Hey, Janine, nice to see you. Natalie's here. Happy Sunday. Hi, Coco. All right. Now, oops. So the philanderer. I look at the 11th house. There's a couple of things you can look at, but this just kills me because I think, how could you not love Jen Garner? And I always look at, I observe everything. I can't observe anything in real life, but when it comes to like other, like things in the news or celebrities, I can't help but notice everything. And in their wedding picture, you see a lot of blurry photographs. And so that can represent Neptune. Neptune issues straight ahead. And we're talking about Ben Affleck, her husband, who she would marry on June 29th, or June 29th, 2005. So let's look at Jupiter. Jupiter is at 8 degrees in Capricorn. Now, that can be very good. When you have the 7th house in Capricorn, it can show that you're married quite a few years, which they were. And at 8 degrees, Scorpio degree, someone who is very sexy, especially with the sextile to Black Moon Lilith. This is a guy who is going to be a nice looking guy, and maybe even considered a sex symbol. So Jupiter, obviously, we're looking here because Jupiter represents a husband in a female's chart. So now we've got this T square here. And there we go. Interesting how people are gossiping that they might get back together a second time, which, of course, not a good idea. There could be some desire by one of the parties to get back together. Okay. So, yeah, this T square here, it's like this is a problem here. And that could be the 10th house, could be that maybe it affects Garner's career when they're married. She devotes herself as a housewife or caregiver to the family. And it gets in the way of them. Also, the biggest one, Saturn represents her 7th house, and it's in the 12th. So 12th house is bed pleasures. Opposing Neptune can mean a narcissist, can mean addiction problems, can mean doing things in secret that you can't see. She would see them at some point, but I think that's probably the biggest, most difficult thing with this chart. And so this is actually her birth chart, okay, that we're looking at. So this is kind of like it's in the code, Saturn, and also with Gemini, this is twice. So maybe getting married twice. I think he would like that, which you can see there he is right here. And then there's a sextile to Mercury. That's on his mind. Getting back together twice. That would be his dream. Probably not a good idea. All right. So this is Jen Garner's solar return for 2005. I believe, yeah, she was born in April. So she had just activated this solar return. Okay. So what we're going to do is do I have this? Okay. We're going to look at the 9th house. And the 9th house has a lot in it, and it's a lot of Aquarius. So this can show a breakup, a divorce, if it's kind of poorly aspected, which it really is. You can have all of this and be just fine, but the problem are the T squares here. This is her, again, solar return. This is going to show it's going to be a lot of anger about 11th house matters. And of course, there was stuff going on outside the marriage there. So things with a lot of Aries, there are going to be subject matters that make you very angry if there's this really hard T square. So I think if I'm looking at a chart and I want to see something that is pretty prominent, that there's going to be some real issues, probably going to be some T squares. And for her, it looks like almost a grand square through her chart. But remember, the 9th house is also the press. So they would get so much press being married to each other. Keeping in mind, we've got Jupiter that year for her retrograde. And look at that square with Saturn. You were going to see him look kind of down all the time, right? Saturn is sort of like depressed. This guy, maybe he's depressed. At this point, I can't imagine that he was, but it's going to show some issues. And you can see Saturn in a T square here with Jupiter. It looks to me like something gets stopped there. Something halts in, the future of this marriage. So no, I don't like Jupiter retrograde. Tom Hanks proved us wrong. You can still, as in Rita Wilson's chart, it can work. And Jen has some nice aspects here to her Jupiter. It just means that, gosh, she sure would get a lot of press out of it. And, her career would just be in the stratosphere because of her own talent, but also because of the sheer PR value to this marriage. I know, he ricocheted from Jen to J-Lo back to Jen, bouncing around like the T-square. Good one, exactly. Aaron, you said, "I have Jupiter and Saturn in the 7th house retrograde, not to mention my north node." It's okay. Sometimes when you have Saturn in the 7th, it means that you might get married later in life. It could also mean that you will be married a very long time. Um, you probably don't want squares to that because sometimes it can mean you're going to get stuck. And nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. Yep. Okay. So that was her solar return. You can also see the state of your family too. The family is Mercury, it's way up here. And, she'd have a really cute little family there. Nice, I love it. It's her dream. She's thinking about her family, she's thinking about her hopes and dreams. All right, so the state of the marriage. Okay, I don't know if you know who the Italian Beckhams are. You probably saw the Netflix documentary about them. Francesco Totti and his wife or ex-wife. I don't know if they even got the divorce yet. I think they're still in court, but it's Ilya Totti, and she tells her side of the story on that Netflix documentary. It was a fairy tale romance, and so here is. I think this is, what is this? Saturn. Where's Saturn? Okay. Well, let's just look at the ninth house. Okay. This is her solar return for the year that they would get a divorce. And I'll tell you a little bit more in a second. But there's Saturn up in the ninth house. Basically, the marriage stops. It halts and halts abruptly with that Aquarius there. And it's in a T square. So, really, really difficult. There's revenge, where she took his Rolexes, according to him. And then he, in turn, basically took everything in her closet, all of her luxury goods, and hid them. And it was really kind of messy. So there's that Scorpio in there too. So wanting to get back at each other. So both sides say they caught the other cheating. And there they are, the fairy tale wedding of Ilya and Francesco. They're so cute. They are or were loved by the public. Now, this is like, we're talking about the prince and princess of Italy for a while, and a very romantic story, seen as the family man. And then, of course, he has this new girlfriend. He claims he caught her, uh, Ilya, with someone else. So here's her birth chart. Look at all that Taurus. Taurus is luxury. And oh my God, Venus in there, Mercury, twins of everything, having many, many of the same pairs of shoes, maybe, or things that are like luxury goods. And so you can see that, there's some stuff going on. Just, I mean, she would just have a lot of money with all of that Venus there. Maybe not so much as she was younger, but it would eventually come into that. Notice the 8 degrees there, which is Scorpio. So wanting to get even if somebody does something to you, especially with your luxury goods. Now, luxury is also Libra too, but can also be Taurus. So there's the ninth house, and this is her birth chart, and it's in Pisces. So it can be a dream wedding, which she got. She got the absolute dream wedding. Like, you can't even believe that this is real. And so you would look at Neptune there down in the fifth house. It would be on TV. It would eventually be on Netflix. And then if you take Neptune, which is the ruler over here of the ninth house, basically giving a profile of the marriage, you can see there's a sextile to the moon, which would mean a famous marriage. Not only famous, though, but the public would absolutely adore them. They love them together. So the moon is the public. And with a trine to Pluto, woof, Moon and Pluto is very, very, very famous together. So add that Neptune, a famous fairy tale marriage. The darn Taurus got in there though, kind of blocked it. And blocked it. The public was like, didn't like all of that. You can see, didn't like all of that fighting about materialistic types of things. Okay, so one thing I did want to talk about. This is her birth chart. Yeah. Here's the other thing. You could see Jupiter and it's conjunct Saturn. I mean, a lot of people have this, and it would be a long-term marriage and one that I think they really both were in love for a while. So this can show a long-term marriage. It's not always bad. It isn't always bad. Yet there would be issues with that, the retrogrades, and you can see there's some Scorpio in there for her because of that Scorpio element. It would be something where everybody would be jealous of, and kind of that maybe that made them feel a little bit good there because of the sextile. It's like, oh, that's nice, you don't know the real situation, but thank you for admiring our marriage. But there are also some issues, and I'm going to get back to her chart in a second. I'm going to get to Demi Moore, and we're going to come back because there's a little bit more to Ilia's chart, her transit chart. Yikes. Okay. Yeah, beautiful wedding. All right. So this is Demi Moore's solar return, and that's for this year. So there's going to be an Oscar campaign in here. It's always hard to see Saturn and the moon because it does show that there can be some embarrassment or kind of humiliation of some sort. And so you kind of saw that a little bit. I think she was born in November. So November, December, January, February. I think Mercury was being activated that year or this year. And this is when the Oscars were happening, or at least Oscar campaigning, and you could see a square. This is a no. Nope, you can't get what you want that year. And it might be a little bit embarrassing. So, and very sad. It makes you very, very sad. So, Saturn and Moon, you got to keep an eye out for that and do your Reiki meditation, walk outside. It's not all that bad. But we've got this little romance blooming apparently between Andrew Garfield and Demi Moore. I guess they met. He was presenting an award for her this year. And so what I would do, I would look at Jupiter retrograde and, you know, doesn't look that great. So what I would say if I saw something like this is don't get married. Just have fun. Enjoy each other's company. There are lots of options here. But yeah, don't like that Jupiter retrograde and that T square. It would be a terrible year to get married. And it just looks like there might be some criticism, gossip. They wouldn't be able to, at least this year, they would not be able to escape that, I don't think. Criticism because of the square to Virgo, gossip because of the square to Gemini. Okay. All right, so now I have Mary the Mistress. Oh, why isn't it letting me do this? Okay, here we go. So this is Jeff Bezos's 2025 solar return chart. And this is simple. I didn't put the aspects on here yet. And we don't really know his time of birth. So this is just sort of what we get. And if that's the case, we can't really count on the fact that the moon is her, even though it could be a good descriptor. because she loves cleavage, and the moon represents cleavage. Um, but what we would do is we would look at, for him, Venus. Venus is going to be the female, 8 degrees, that's Scorpio, sexy, sexy mama. And with Saturn there, somebody who is wise. It could also represent him if we have the ascendant, right? That they're together. Venus in Pisces, a lady with a lot of jewelry. It is very, very positive to have Venus in Pisces. The only problem is all of that red here, square to the moon. The moon doesn't like them. The moon is basically the public. They don't really like them together. And it also can show, with this little combination, squaring the moon can show depression and death. I mean, that's what it means. That's what it shows. The other thing too is we've got, well, let me show you the other thing. Now, Venus is trining. We don't know if it's the MC, but if it was, it could help his career. It's always nice for him to have a very talented, smart, sexy lady on his arm. So there are positive things here. There are positive things. And again, with Pisces, can be dream, like a dream girl. Second house, they're both very wealthy if this is actually in the second house. But would I want them to get married this year? No, 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 no. I don't want that. Here's another one too. You can see that there is a very tough T-square here. And that's got Black Moon Lilith in there. So there could be somebody who's trying to sabotage the marriage with the ninth house there. Ninth house is marriage. Maybe he is. Maybe he doesn't want the marriage to happen. So you have a T square, and is this the ninth house? Well, we don't know his birth time. Maybe it's not. But if I saw it and I looked like that, I would say, not this year. You could still do it. You could still have a happy marriage. It's not my favorite. The good thing, though, is Venus is not retrograde. So that's a good thing. And it's just all this square here with Jupiter. Jupiter can also mean marriage. And in, because Gemini is Italian, and I think they're thinking of having their wedding this summer off the coast of Italy. But there's issues. There's issues with documents, maybe because of Gemini. His documents, Gemini's documents. So, yeah. I also want to do that. What was it? A bunch of women, including Lauren. They're going to be going to space with Gail. What's her name? And a bunch of other ladies. It's going to be ladies in space. So we're going to have to do that chart at some point. I did have another one I wanted to look at. I think it was this one. Yeah, it was the state of the marriage. Let me put it in here. I think I've got it in my file. The problem with Ilya's marriage, where was it? What I've done with it? Hang on. She was going through sadi, and that is so, so difficult. Where is it? Yeah. Well, anyway, Saturn, at the year that they divorced or split up, Saturn was coming over her moon in the 7th house. So, I mean, it was a huge, huge force pulling them apart. And so a lot of people have to deal with that. Oh, I think I found it. This one, and I think also I wanted to show you. Yeah, I think it was these two. So you can see, hang on. So this is where you see Saturn there? Saturn and Moon. This was like pretty much exactly when everything fell apart. But the problem is that Saturn is going to start pushing, applying towards the Moon about 3 years ahead of this conjunction, and 3.5 years, 3 to 4 years. That's why they call it the 7-year itch, because you've got to wait till Saturn moves all the way off or separates from the Moon another 2.5 years, give or take, because of the retrogrades. The retrogrades are so tough with Sati Sati. So this was her Saturn Moon. This is Ilya Totti's um, transit. And it was just, so tough. Also, he was very jealous at this point, and you can see Saturn kind of encroaching. It's approaching the seventh house. So, basically, your partner can become very jealous, and you've got a stellium here of extreme anger, Pluto, Mars, very, very angry and jealous. So these are some of the things that she had to endure. I am. I was wondering if you were gonna notice that, Brenda. I love Columbus. Yes, money, money, money. Yeah, she's with a youngin' again. Good for her. Have fun, that's what I say. And, yeah, I think you're talking about, yeah, at least if it goes bust, it'll be instant. I wouldn't be on any rocket rides. You can tell. Oh, it's Gail King. Gail is nervous. She's been talking about it. She's scared. So there's I would be too. I'm sorry to say I would be too. All right, so I want to answer a couple of questions. Let me get back here to this. All right, we're going to do some tarot. And Deborah, you asked, who is my future third ex-husband? Let's try to be positive, Deborah. Let's say, who is your future third husband? Maybe you're lucky. Maybe it'll be nobody and you'll be very happy and independent. But who is Deborah's third husband? How about that? Page of Pentacles. He's young and he's got money, girl. I like it. Let's do a clarification card. Is he going to be a good one? You better get out there. I mean, you can't stay inside. You've got to be out there doing your thing in order to meet these pages of Pentacles. Can I get a clarifier card? 3 of Cups. This is very good. This looks like a nice family gathering. Everyone's happy. So I would say got yourself some good cards there, girl. All right. I know. Go, girl. All right. So, yeah. Taurus, you said, is it a transit progress, or Taurus Moon Tarot, Amber? Is this a transit progress chart? That is where you see the details, right? You can, yes. And it's kind of crazy to look at the transit progress, because you can see that maybe you might even be going through Sati Sati a second time when you see the progress chart. But the one that I was looking at was just Ilya's transit chart for, it was pretty much the exact time when all hell broke loose. So, yes. All right, who else has a question? We could do a chart for, or we could do some cards for Jeff Bezos. Should Jeff Bezos get married this year? It's not a good idea. Not a good idea. Page of Swords. Something is going to maybe upset it a little bit. Let's see. Yes, Deborah, you said awesome. That would make me get out and about. And I don't know. I don't know if I could do the bars anymore. But maybe, there are other options now. But sometimes, you know what? It's like you don't even have to do anything. It just suddenly just happens. But yeah, Page of Pentacles. Can we get a card for Lauren Sanchez and Jeff Bezos getting married this year? Can we get a clarifier card? Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it's going to rain. Uh, yeah, a square to Pisces could mean weather. That's a possibility. Weather won't be good in Italy. Yes, maybe the gym. Jen, you said, will your ex and current husband show up on a solar return chart? Yes. Yep. Yeah, you can do I mean, seventh house can show both, really. A lot of times you're going to get either an Aquarius aspect with Jupiter if you're going to see the X, which could also represent your current. So there could be, I know it's kind of crazy, but there could be similar profiles, at least for that year. Everybody's nice, or everybody's a little stressed out, everybody's ugly, whatever. No way, YouTube is my new bar scene. That's so funny. All right. And let's see what else. Should Jen Garner and Ben Affleck, I can't even ask the question, should they get married again? Five of Cups. No, there would be regret. Not a good idea. Although there might be regret from the divorce. That could also show, too, that Ben Affleck especially regrets what happened. Not his fault. He's got a soul contract. It really isn't his fault, as much as we want to blame him. And the Strength card, this is the family. So he's got regret about the family. It's so sad. Okay. I wanted to look at their chart too one more time because of that 11th house I was going to tell you about, and I didn't really get into that. Amber, if solar return has Jupiter and Gemini before a boomerang person. Okay, so if solar return has Jupiter and Gemini in the 6th house, I'm not sure I understand, but I'm thinking, does he come back? Yes, yes. The person comes back a second time. That's the problem. Well, sometimes it's good because sometimes you want them to come back and boomerang, but sometimes it's like, no. And Jen Garner is seeing that for sure. And you know who else did? J-Lo did, because she saw him come back. And so she was dealing with that Jupiter and Gemini too. So we like when Jupiter's out of Gemini, unless we're meeting a bunch of Italian men. Yes, it could be. Definitely. Somebody's coming back. But it could be good for those people who let that person get away and would like to rekindle something. Jupiter and Gemini is good for that. Okay. Go back to this for a second. And okay, that's her solar return. Okay. Yeah. So here's the 5th house. Oops. Here is the 5th house, the 5th house from the 7th. Okay. The 5th house is the lover. I mean, the 12th house too it's the house for bed pleasures, but you can see. Oh yeah, I think I did touch on this. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. A lot of people in there. And also, where are these people? It's the 6th house lord. So people at work, blondes. So Sun, Venus are blonde women at work, and that would keep. You can see that whole little trio there would put a real good stop to the marriage. Very very tough there. So okay, and if you guys are interested in a reading, you can go to astrologywithval.as.me. And also remember Fridays that I'm on here with Amber at 3 p.m. Eastern. It's so much fun. We show you how to read your solar return and make world predictions and royal revelations. I think that's all I wanted to talk about today, unless you guys have any additional questions, but we got through a lot. There can be good charts, but just like with any timestamp, there are going to be challenges. And so you just have to keep your eyes wide open. And if you're about to get married, look at your solar return. It's always nice to have Jupiter direct, and not in a T square because you're really signing up for drama. That's what I'm saying. All right. I'll take the Italian interpretation. Yes. Get over there, Amber. Or twins. Yes. Twin Italian men that both own Italian restaurants. Don't do it. I know. Just date. We date now and have pets. But you do have to in your younger life especially, there are lessons. That's right, toy. You don't need papers on someone. And Jen, your ex was Jupiter retrograde in the third house. I wonder with the third, now the third can be communication. Were there any communication issues? Sometimes when you have something like that, or if you have kind of a poor aspect with Saturn, it's sort of, and the third house is involved, or Mercury, you're getting a quiet one. Sometimes you don't know until you see the progress chart and then suddenly, you're 56 years old and suddenly they don't say anything. So you'd have to really look past the solar return chart. Yeah. So thanks guys for joining me today. I hope this was something that you can use for yourself or for your friends. Zero communication, so tough. Ugh, it's the worst. Especially, that's food for the soul for a lot of marriages and can be hard. And I did want to mention something too. These types of charts, looking at them and looking at how a past marriage was, it does help you with forgiveness because you know that these people came into your life to be a symbol of something for you to work through, to have either highs or lows with. So maybe they're extremely good people or evil. You're going to be able to see that in the chart and you're going to be able to let that go if you really understand how it all works. Thank you, Amber. And you said, are synastry charts helpful? Yes, I think so. Especially when you want to know, are you supportive of each other? Does one person make more money than the other? Does that cause a problem? Is there communication? One thing that I see in synastry charts too, which are a huge problem, is kind of one is being negative towards the other one. One wants to flourish or thrive or bloom. The other one's like, probably not a good idea. That kind of synastry can be really harmful to somebody's trajectory and life purpose. So, really important to look at the synastry for sure. So, well, thanks everyone. And I will be on tomorrow with some other show. Definitely interested in your ideas. I'm going to do a lot of shows this week. So, I will see you tomorrow.